actually has the winner of the regionals of Bologna last week. It is going to be Alan ZQ versus Bernie Palacios. Bernie's playing an actual really interesting deck. He's playing Renata Glask. And of course, Alan ZQ is playing his Ezreal. He just won the best of Ezreal last year. Is he going to take down this tournament and win $700 today at People's Card Shop? Let's find out.
I really love that Ezreal list he was playing. It is so strong. I love the Vexes in there. But let's just see what this Renata has in store. Can she fight back the onslaught of spells that Ezreal's about to sling?
It's going to be a battle of the blue decks here. I'm a big fan of the blue-yellow combination. I love the ability of just having a lot of blue draw, a lot of blue just messing around with stuff, and more importantly, my favorite is just yellow just killing a bunch of units. So let's see how both players traverse this kind of unexplored matchup. We often see Ezreal, but we don't see Renata Glass. But here comes the Ravenbloom Student, an old school card from Origins. Every time a spell is activated, she gets a +1 might for the turn. It is a great card in conjunction with specifically this Ezreal deck playing multiple actions, getting kind of big. And come down to Plundering Poro. And yes, 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 this Ezreal player is in fact good, arguably the best.
This set's new and we probably haven't fought a lot of Renatas, but so we all know, when you hold, you may exhaust Renata and get a Gold Gear token. And then when you are 3 points away from victory, so when you're at around 5 points, all of your Gold Gears add an additional 1 mana as well as 1 power. So the Renata is trying to hold as much as possible in order to get those Gold Gear tokens and then make them other ways, like the Poro, like spells, any way you can make a abundance, this gold pile. And then late game, you can have crazy turns where you're using over 12 mana.
Yep, it's one of the it's actually just one of the only decks that are able to do it. Didn't expect Allen in this tournament. We told you we have the best of what Vegas has to offer, and Allen came down saying, I'm going to go ahead and take it down. This is just going to be a brief view of what is going to be seen at the regionals here, this high-level gameplay. I appreciate you, the One Pro Noob, with the subscribe with Prime. Thank you very much.
Little pre-regional regional we have going on here. The best thing about purple is you get to cheat. Take a look at the top cards of your deck and pick the one you want in your hand.
I don't think you follow it. I think you have to follow it. Play Riftbound? Play Riftbound.
The Malzahar, that is such a cool card. Malzahar is able to tap and or exhaust itself. You get to kill a creature or a gold gear token or any type of gear that you have, and he'll give you 2 power for the turn. It is a very interesting way to make all of your gold gear tokens. Instead of popping them themselves, you can pop them with Malzahar, and instead of getting just 1 power, you get 2. Wages of Pain. Both decks are probably running this card. Wage of Pain is able to deal 3 damage and then give the user a gold gear token. So our Plundering Poro, sadly, is going to bite the dust. If you don't know what Ezreal does, it's the second, if you've targeted 2 of your opponent's cards this turn, you can tap him and draw 1 card. So Ezreal's going to play a flurry of spells that are able to target your opponent's creatures. That way he can get card advantage off of them. Also, repeat cards are very good for this ability.
It is going to be a battle of like these slow control decks. Both of these decks kind of use and leverage their removal to kind of sculpt the game they want to. The biggest difference is the Ezreal deck kind of is playing more of like an aggressive role, while the Renata Glass deck kind of wants to bunker down and try to hold as many points as possible. It's two varying different decks that kind of play very similar because of the blue sharing of the color. But let's see what Alan ZQ is going to go ahead and do.
This Renata Glass deck, the two drops of choice is the Poro and the Honest Broker, and able to get a bunch of gold gear creation. We're going to drop the Mind Splitter right now. Let's take a look at what Renata has in her hand. The most powerful thing Renata can have is her signature spell. It is a reason to play Renata, be able to take control of an enemy unit at a battlefield. Lucky for us, looks like it's not in there yet. We have a Stupefied Watcher, Malzahar, and a Plundering Poro. Probably going to get rid of the Watcher right now. The Stupefy is pretty nice to have in our hand because it's just a replacement card that our opponent doesn't get to see with this rip right here. So later on, we get to cycle that into a new card that our opponent does not know about. The Watcher is definitely the rip you want to go for, though. Playing it nice and slow, the Watcher is out of the way, so we're just playing our Mind Splitter in the back row, right in our base, just in case we need him next turn. Let's see what card we are getting off of that. So two unknown cards in our hand. Our Renata player is being nice, playing with the two cards face up that our opponent already knows, which is the Poro and the Malzahar. Stupefy the Malzahar.
Ooh,
in order to draw a card, we'll probably have a secondary draw ability right here. Ravenbloom Suna is just such a nasty card, being able to get to a ridiculous amount of might swings with just 2 power or 2 mana invested.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of players kind of just have to hope that you don't have multiple spells to trigger it when
cool.
it is available.
Ooh,
Vanguard Armory, one of my favorite yellow gears, being able to go ahead and summon 3 tokens every turn. My favorite part about it is basically for the rest of this game, Bernie kind of doesn't have to focus on summoning monsters because every turn he's going to get 3 new units. So if he can go ahead and use that mana on something else, he could potentially, use this as a way to start the ball rolling and get a big hold going on. He plays Vanguard Armory. I wonder if he plays Heimerdinger. That would be such a cool combo to go ahead.
I think the Renata decks do play Heimerdinger because their champion unit
has a tap effect.
Actually, he's using the accelerated, where all of your gears come in ready. All of your tokens
come in ready. Okay.
But he probably plays one or the other one in the main or in the side, so he could be on Heim. But Heim is kind of weak to so many removal spells.
Yeah, God forbid a Falling Star comes down and just ruins Heimerdinger's day. And the Mind Splitter is going to go into the Sigil of Storm. If you don't know what Sigil of Storm, it's going to be a very important card in this matchup. Because of Sigil of the Storm, every time you conquer, you have to recycle a rune. And both of these decks are very greedy decks that want to get up to large amounts of mana. So if they have to pay the price of every single time they conquer, they have to lose it.
It's looking really crazy for this Renata. It's a really good setup right now.
Ooh, and Ride the Wind on the Mind Splitter. One of the most ubiquitous cards of Origins, being able to go ahead and move this Vex into the combat. And one of the things about Vex being in the combat, she gets to reduce cards in Mateusz's showdown. So let's see if he'll be able to use this Vex in some way, or if he just kind of used it as a body right now.
I haven't seen really that many people on Vex until he took Ezreal and won that tournament with it. Vex just says a 5/5, and if she just plopped into a battlefield, your opponent has to go to an annoying amount of length to deal with that Vex outside of the combat. And if she is fight or flighted, Ride the Winds into a battle, it's kind of crazy because then your opponent has to actually respect the additional cost of all of their spells now.
Yep, this is a really interesting matchup. Just 2 decks we often don't see together. And that's my favorite part about Riftbound. There's just a lot of different decks that you could be playing, and every deck has kind of like a win condition that makes it good.
That was a crazy play. He hostile takeover
the Vex.
Mind Splitter, and then he tributed it with Malzahar.
Ooh, that is spicy. But even more technology coming down, summoning this Renata Glass unit that is able to make
You
all
can't move
tokens
that
come in
mouse. He
ready.
already used it.
So with the tokens from Vanguard Army, they basically come in all accelerated, and that could potentially be enough of a push to get this Vex off this
I think
battlefield.
we got to go for the Vex kill now. He could just have a way in order to kill all of our units right here. Because Bellow's Breath just cost 1. Oh, so we're looking for Bellow's Breath. If we don't get Bellow's Breath, our Vex is down here.
And a double casting of the Called Shot, one of the most just egregious cards in this
We
deck,
did
and a
get it.
Bellows Breath from Alan ZQ, able to kind of just sway the tide of battle, knocking down 3 of these tokens. If you don't know what Bellows Breath does, it is a 1 energy action that has the repeat cost, and he's able to deal 1 damage to 3 units at a battlefield, and able to kind of take down these 3 tokens, and more importantly, killing off this Malzahar.
Losing the Malzahar is really, really unfortunate.
And that's one of the biggest things about this Ezreal deck. This Ezreal deck doesn't have the premier removal that something like Kai'Sa does. It doesn't have something like Falling Star or anything like that. But what it does have, it has a lot of battle tricks. Here we go, and it's going to go ahead and going to game 2. That just loss of those tokens was just too much for Bernie to handle, and it's going to go ahead and go to game 2. So it's a really, really interesting matchup here. One of the things that is important is that we saw something like Vanguard Armory from Bernie's side. So Alan CQ could definitely side gear removal. One of the issues is that the premier gear removal that Alan ZQ played last week in Bologna was something like Pickpocket. Pickpocket is awesome versus seals and gears and tiny gears that Azir would use. However, it will not kill this Vanguard Armory, but it might be worth because killing the gold gears of the Renata Glass has the potential to go ahead and slow them down.
Yeah, I just like that card better than Card Sharp because you get to kill your opponents and get one for yourself. So in these matchups where Card Sharp is like you get 1 or your opponent gets 1 and you get 2, you're removing 1 from your opponent and you're getting 1 yourself. So you're going basically up to like in terms of like power economy because your opponent is losing the ability to activate the gold gear and you're gaining 1. And for the point totals, they are keeping track of them with dice. They're going to put it on their champion legend. The Renata just unfortunately was not able to push for a singular point last turn. Getting that Bellow's Breath off the double look had to have been devastating for the Renata player.
Yep, and that is one of the scariest things about this Ezreal deck. It just has so many ways to see new cards, whether it be the Ezreal effect or multiple activations of called shots. He just kind of is able to sculpt his hand and set up the perfect scenarios where a small thing can just go ahead, a small Bell's Breath can turn a huge tide of battle.
Ezreal is just such a cool, like, legend ability. It's like Draven in a way where your cards are constantly being replaced, but you don't have to focus so much on winning the battle through combat. You're more focused on just targeting your opponent's things and killing them yourself. So the Ezreal player is going to have Obelisk of Power. You're going second, so you're starting with an additional rune, so you get to start with 4 runes. And then after 4 runes, going to 5, and a key player on 5 is that Vex. our Renata player is going for Forgotten Monument. Forgotten Monument is that neither player can score here until the third turn, just to slow down the game against aggressive decks. I really like this as a going first battlefield because you get, first dibs on the battlefields, and you're just trying to take over whatever your opponent brings. And Forgotten Monument is just a blank slate that your opponent cannot get even points or any value from.
All right, here we go. It is going to be Forgotten Monument, and it's going to be Obelisk of Power. Obelisk of Power is honestly one of the most. Oh, it's muted. Oh. Uh oh. Oh, yeah. Uh oh. All right, so we're having some issues with the cameras, but we'll be able to get that fixed. And here we go. Alan ZQ is activating Stack Deck with 3 mana. What is he going to want? That's the real question here. He's deep in thought, trying to figure out what to do. And here comes a Pickpocket. That was the card that I was talking about earlier. It is a great card to go ahead and kill Gold Gear tokens. However, with no Gold Gear tokens, it is just going to be a 3-might vanilla. So hopefully Mateusz will be able to have more, but here comes down a Malzahar. And Bernie is still not choosing to take over any of the battlefields, not willing to take up a trade here, knowing this Pickpocket will be able to go ahead and smack up the other battlefield. And back-to-back stacked decks right now. That's, again, one of my favorite parts about these purple decks, being able to use stacked deck and something like Called Shot to set up these perfect hands. I think the key here in both of these matchups is to go ahead and not deramp as much as possible, because because both players are trying to get as many mana as possible. So deramping kind of limits the amount of plays that they have. All right, and here comes the star himself, Ezreal, the linchpin of the Ezreal deck, being able to use multiple repeat costs. And ooh, we see a downwell from Alan ZQ. That is some hidden technology. It's going to be awesome here. Downwell is great versus decks that often use tokens, because when you bounce tokens back, they don't go anywhere and they kind of just disappear. And here comes the token taking down one of the battlefield, scoring a point. Ooh, and he's playing a Echo. If you don't know what Echo does, Echo is a accelerated unit, but more importantly, he has Death Knell, and Death Knell, he gets to untap every single rune. So if you're able to float runes with the Echo, you could potentially get an upswing of more mana than you expected this turn. One of the key things about this Renata Glass deck is it often surprises your opponent, because you'll have more mana than you've ever expected, often passing the 12 mana threshold that most decks often have. And choosing the hide here, the thing about it is there's a lot of good hiddens in the yellow color. It could be something like Facebreaker. It could be Hidden Blade, but most likely it is the signature spell of Renata Glass, Hostile Takeover, which is basically just the ability to take over control of the monster. But here comes a Wages of Pain, dealing 3 damage, but most importantly, it is going to go ahead and get a Gold Gear token here. Wages of Pain is Ooh, and it looks like he's going to double cast this Wages of Pain, and that is a great move on his part because the thing is, ooh, and I said it could have been a hostile takeover, but he did a switch up. It's going to be Consult the Past. That's the power of playing multiple hidden. Oftentimes, you expect one hidden, but Consult the Past is able to kind of juke him out, potentially making Alan ZQ maybe overpredict or underpredict what that card could be. We're going to 8 runes right now for Bernie. Let's see what he's able to go ahead and do. A lot of options here for this Renata Glass player. Choosing to Stupefy. Stupefy is such an awesome card because it's very simply just a battle trip, often a cantrip, but sometimes it's just used to draw a card to try to set up for a big turn here.
Where are they at? Oh, these?
2 mana, and it's going to be a Bellow Breath of his own and a Retreat. Retreat, an awesome card, being able to protect key cards like Fizz and Ezreal, but more importantly, because they're protected and bounce back to the hand, you're able to get double duty out of their effects. That's my favorite part about this Ezreal deck. It When it wins, it's kind of like a slow grind where every single card kind of just slowly and slowly nickel and dimes your opponent out of the game here, being able to use stuff like Fizz and Ezreal over and over and over again. Oh, and who won game 1? Just to let you know, it is going to be Mateusz. He did win game 1. All right. Not that big of a turn, just summoning just multiple creatures, just trying to get back into the game here. But honestly, Alan ZQ literally has 5+ cards in hand. Let's see what he can do. Yeah, we are trying to get that fixed right now. There just seems to be something wrong with our GoPro. It is overheated. Um, but we are setting up the cameras. It is going to be fixed maybe in a couple minutes. Sorry about that. A lot of options here, and he's choosing to use this Ezreal to go ahead and discard the Downwell to draw 2 here. This Downwell, even though being kind of like this all-star card versus token-centered strategies, if your opponent only has 2 creatures, this Downwell is going to be a turn skip for himself, so I can see why he discarded it. Gaining a point off of this Fizz here. Boom, right there. There's that beautiful face of Alan ZQ one more time. Ooh, and we get a hand. That's awesome. And here we go. A seal into Called Shot. One of just the key plays in this Ezreal deck. Being able to use this repeat cost basically for free because of Ezreal. Yep, dealing 3 damage to that Poro. Wages of Pain really just showing how good that card is. You know, dealing 3 damage is great, but more importantly, saving yourself from deramping, getting these golds is exactly where this Ezreal deck wants to be. The real question is, how is Bernie going to go ahead and get over this? Oftentimes, the Renata Glass deck wants to be able to hold, but if it's on the offense, that's not really where it thrives. The rounds are going to be 1 hour. We are in round 2 right now, Reddick. I do believe it is going to be 7 rounds of Riftbound action, and it might even be a playoff in top 8 and top 4. We have some of the best players in the world in attendance right now getting ready for this regional this weekend. We actually have Mateusz. If you don't know who he is Alan ZQ, the winner of the Bologna regionals just last week. And here we go. Vanguard Armory setting up a big token turn here. The great thing about Vanguard Armory is the longer the game goes on, the more value you get out of it. But right now, my goodness. And man, Fizz is just showing how just amazing this card is. Just getting multiple activations out of things. And here we go, another called shot. And playing against Ezreal, honestly, is like a death to 1,000 paper clips. At first, slowly and slowly, you notice that the Ezreal has the same amount of cards as you. But as the turns goes on, multiple activations of these called shots creates too much card advantage. And oh man, one of the best answers to a Vanguard Armory summoning 3 tokens is Bellows Breath. And Ezreal really is just having his way with this Renata Glass deck, showing the power of the Ezreal color combination. 4 cards, what's going to come down? It's going to be Renata Glass. If you don't know what that unit does, it basically says all tokens come in ready. So with this Vanguard Armory, he'll be able to go ahead and get this double conquer here, scoring to 5, I believe.
And the Renata player is fully tapped out here, but we have our Orin ready to go.
Ooh, and Rocket Barrage. It is a Rocket Barrage for the repeat cost. If you don't know what Rocket Barrage, it is a 4 energy, 1 power to recycle. It's going to deal 4 damage to a unit, or it's going to kill a gear. So it looks like he's going to kill a gear and deal 4 damage to that Ornn, knocking it down. And that was a huge swing. Vanguard Armory is supposed to be this late game card that keeps accruing value over and over and over again. It's honestly overcosted to summon 3 tokens, but over the course of a game, it's going to get value. But because of this Rocket Barrage, only 3 tokens were summoned.
That's the problem with Vanguard Armory, Aurora. After game 1, your opponent, all they have to do for your entire 7 or 9 mana turn is 1 gear removal card, and they take that away from you. And that was kill the Ornn too.
Yeah, no, that was the crazy part. Ooh, and another
But
Vanguard.
The tempo's kind of, if he had this with the other one, 6 recruits a turn is wild.
6 recruits a return that come in all accelerated is really, really the linchpin of what he's trying to do here.
I think it's just a bit too slow now.
Yeah, but the problem here is I think I'm too scared to run into this Ravenbloom student, and I think he's going to go in with to the Fizz.
Just to get Bell's Breath?
Just to get Bell's Breath. We've seen one before. We know that Mateusz plays multiple copies. Let's see if he has it in the ready. This is a tough decision here. Again, I said it multiple times. Renata Glass is the deck that wants to hold.
Ooh,
So
into
if
the
she's going to
Raven.
be on the aggro, that's not where she thrives.
This is a little risky going to the Raven. I did see an Imperial Decree or Imperial Order inside of Renata's hand. That might not be the best for this matchup. Not too many big creatures you want to be taking out on Ezreal except for the Mind Splitters, which are definitely just going to rip that card from your hand.
Ooh, and two stupefies. Even though they're not shrinking
Three draws.
these units, for every stupefy, this Raven Blue student gets bigger and bigger. So currently, I believe it's 4-4. Ooh, and he's
Oh
gonna bounce
my
the.
gosh.
He's gonna
bouncing
bounce
the
it,
gear.
but a hidden blade on it is just enough to make sure these points go through. I believe it's gonna go ahead to 5 or 6 points. Let's find out. And it's gone to 5 points right now.
Wow, what a crazy tech.
And every single turn, Alan ZQ is just playing multiple cards every single turn, just getting the most out of his deck. That's my favorite part about this Ezreal deck is when it gets going, it looks like a well-oiled machine, constantly drawing, constantly cycling, and just getting infinite one-for-one trades that end up being super profitable. And here we go. It is going to be a double repeated cost of a Bellows Breath. It's going to take down almost every single token on the field, and it's going to let this Ezreal swing over this token, barring something like maybe a Hidden Blade.
It's just an unfortunate matchup for the Renata. Ezreal just has everything in his arsenal in order to put Renata down. And check the hand, see what's in there, take that last card out.
And this Mind Splitter is back-breaking. It is going to be 2 Vanguard armies. Normally, Vanguard Army is this monstrous card. The problem is when you're behind, 3 tokens might not be enough. Oh, man. And the Bellows Breath making it, what is it, dealing 1? And with a smoke screen killing off that Renata, slowly and slowly, Alan ZQ is just choking Bernie out of this game. And that's it, a masterclass of just that was just great play on Alan ZQ's side. I really wish the Renata Glass could have done some of that Renata Glass stuff it's known for, getting a lot of gold gear tokens, playing multiple time warps a turn. But hopefully we get to see more of this Renata Glass later on in the tournament. But right now, Alan ZQ, our reigning regional champion, is currently 2-0.
Holding with Renata is just so hard to do in the early game, and the benefit you get for actually having that happen isn't even like totally game winning or mid game winning. Ezreal just wins in the mid game because of his draws. Draven can do it in the mid game. Like Renata's Glass mid game, getting that ability is not even that good. When you are at 5 and you're getting extra points, it's so crazy. You get so much extra mana. But by the time you get there, it's either too hard to mount that many gold gear tokens, or your opponent just has a stranglehold on the game.
Yep. And if you don't know what's happening or you just came in right now, I just want to let you know we just finished round 2 of our feature match. We are the People's Card Shop. We are having a $2,000 guaranteed tournament. First place gets $700, plus they get a signature card. That is some great prizing. If you want to get some practice in, come down to People's Card Shop. We have a lot of games going on. and we stream every Monday at 6:30. So if you want to see more action after this regional's done, come check us out on 6:30. If you want to know who we are, my name is Ed, and I'm joined with Michael. We have a YouTube channel called Conquer and Hold. So if you like what we say, come check us out, come subscribe, and thank you for watching, guys. Round 2 has just finished.
We'll be posting these VODs to this channel, Conquer and Hold, and the People's Card Shop YouTube channel, along with other commentary style videos. There's 27 minutes. That was a really quick round right there. So we'll be back in around maybe 35 minutes or so with round number 3. Don't go anywhere. This is the pre-regional regional. You're going to see all the decks that are going to be at the regional tomorrow, and a lot of the players there are going to be topping here tonight.
Yep, and don't worry, we got 5 more rounds at least of this action, so I cannot wait.